Hello everyone, and welcome. I've got the sled all packed and ready. I loaded it in and tied it all up at home, just because it makes it easier to fit everything into the vehicle that way. Just makes it a little heavy to get out of the vehicle. But we're packed and loaded. We're here for an overnighter. I've got the poles for the pulk. And I clip those on. Okay, not easy to do with these heavy gloves. Whew. Now I just have to bungee the shovel on. I don't think I'm going to be needing it, but I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Then we'll get the snowshoes. Again, I don't think I'll need them, but we'll strap those on top of the sleigh. Okay, so now our load is tied down. We're finally going to get to test out how this pulk works. Now, I also have my backpack, but what I did is all the heavy gear is in the sled. In my pack, it's just my pillows, extra clothes, anything that was super light to keep the pack as light as possible. I try and stay in the habit of doing that. That way when I do need the snowshoes, it's that much less weight that's on me, so I sink a bit less. Hoping I can put the pack on and then slide these over the hip belt, because I noticed that if I don't, the poles tend to pull these down. If I've got them over the hip belt of the pack, it should hold them up. Ooh, cold on the fingers. Okay. Ah, there we go. Don't think that's going to work the way I wanted it to, but we'll try it. Okay, I'm going to close up the vehicle, buckle this up, and we'll head on down the trail. Well, we made it. There's just a little bit of snow. Not even enough to worth busting out the shovel. Hopefully my tent fits in that spot. If not, I've got the shovel to clear out a little more if I need to. But we're here for the night. Now, you may have noticed on my way in, I stopped and changed the way the sled was buckled. The reason for that being, when the belts are crossed in front and I clip to the rings and keep them close to my hips, the minute that sled gains on me a little bit, they drop down and then they cross right in front of my legs and they make it more difficult. By spinning the belt and clipping behind me, I can walk better, I can pull better, but I lose control over the sled. So I'm gonna have to figure out some way of getting those rings up closer to me. Or pull it the way it is, way behind, and it follows okay, but it just makes the steering a little bit more difficult. Oh well. I'm gonna get the pack off and start unloading this and try and get the tent set up. Before I open this up and get the tent out, maybe we should take a walk and see if we still have wood back there. Well, there it is. Now let's go get the tent set up. I've got the tent up. I've got the cot up. I brought my sleeping bag. Now, this bag is not rated to go down to the temperatures that we're getting tonight. This bag is rated at a -10 Celsius. I have taken it down to a -20. As long as I'm dressed properly inside this bag, I am toasty warm. I'm a warm sleeper anyway. So it should be fine. But I brought my wool blanket. Later on, I'm going to blow up my sleeping pad. And when I do, I will unroll the wool blanket and put it inside the sleeping bag. And with this, in conjunction with the sleeping bag, I'll be toasty warm. And if I have to, I'll keep the stove running all night long. That's not a big deal. I usually wake up every couple hours anyway, so I can keep it going. I brought a little bit of hardwood and 2 compressed hardwood blocks to help me get through. They'll burn hotter, they'll burn longer. So I should be fine. Whew. That being said, and when I came in it was -18. And tonight it's going down to, I think they said -27. With a wind chill of about -31 Celsius. With the stove in here, I have no worries. But that being said, because it's so cold, that's why I didn't film putting up the whole tent. I had to get it done. I'm going to light the fire in here, and then I'm going to go get my insulin, and I'm going to leave it right here on the bed. This is basically my camera bag. It's got all my electronics in it. My charging blocks. Whatever has to stay warm, I will leave in here. I'm going to burn this stove as soon as I light it. I'm just going to keep it burning, and I'll sit by the outside fire for a while. But I have to start by lighting this one. So I'm going to go get some of that wood that's up top, set it up down here, and get that stove going. Oh, I got the fire going inside the tent. I closed off one door. The other door I left open just so I could easily get in there. Add more wood to the stove if it starts to die down. But now that all the work's done, time to sit back and have a little Waterloo dark. Oh good, it's not frozen. It's fairly chilly out today, and I had brought a Coke Zero with me, and I left it sitting just on the edge of the sled while I was getting stuff ready, and every now and then I'd go take a sip, and then I kept working away and forgot about it. When I went back to go get a sip, it was almost frozen. So today is December 21st, the shortest day of the year. I'm not even attempting to cook before it gets dark. It's not going to happen. It gets dark too fast. Oh. But I got tons of wood inside the tent. Once the sun goes down, the temperature's going to drop fairly fast. So once it gets a little too cold, I'm going to go in the tent. Now that the work's all done, I put on my heavier jacket. Always bring extra layers. It's the only way to stay warm. I wanted a Christmas tree by the fire. But in this little area, there was no suitable trees close to the fire. Well, instead of cutting down a little sapling and killing a tree, I just cut off one branch off a bigger tree. So we have a Christmas branch instead of a Christmas tree. That works. It's just to be in a little bit of the Christmas spirit. It is December 21st after all. I guess this is a good time to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Hope everyone has a great holiday season. Yesterday, before coming out here, I filmed the video of making that pulk sled. Because this week is Christmas, it's going to be busy. I think I'm going to edit this video and put this video out on Friday, right after Christmas. And then I'll put out that sled video the following Friday. That'll free me up to have a little bit of a Christmas celebration at home. Spend a bit of time with Anne. But the sun's going down. It's starting to get pretty dark. It's almost time for me to head into the tent, set up some lights, and start cooking supper. I sit here for a few minutes, enjoy my beautiful Christmas branch, and a little bit of this fire. Then we'll go get the lights set up in there. Well, now that I'm in the tent and I got the door closed, I was able to take my coat off. So it's warming up in here. But now, it's time to start doing a little bit of supper prep. First thing we're going to need is an onion. Brought a nice big sweet onion. I have a nice paper plate here I can put on top of the cooler, and as I'm cutting I can put them in the plate until I'm ready to use them. This is going to make a perfect trash bag. Next up is the mushrooms, which I pre-washed at home. Nothing fancy, I'm just cutting them in half. The olive oil in the frying pan. Set that on the stove and let it start to warm up. Seeing as it's getting close to Christmas, I brought some ground turkey. So I'm going to fry that up in the pan with the mushrooms and onions. Then I'll add the peppers. In here is garlic powder, Montreal chicken, and a little bit of lemon and herb. So once I get it all cooking, I'll be adding this. And then I brought 2 Kaiser rolls, just so I could put butter on them and eat the mess with the buns. my wooden spatula. Let's put that in the pan. I guess we'll start with the red pepper. In case you're wondering, that's that VPS Adventurer knife that I was using for a while. I find the blade is just a little bit too thin to be doing any batoning, and it works great. I like the knife, but I don't trust how thin that blade is. I didn't want to baton with it. There's a few chores that I didn't want to, like, I don't want to pry with it too much. It's a very thin blade. And then, well, I got this one. The Rob Evans Mark II, and it works very well. So, I sharpened this one up again, and I have relegated it to my camping cook knife, which saves this for all my woodworking, my carving and whatever I need to do. Forgot how lean that turkey burger would be. It's not putting a whole lot of fat in the bottom of that pan to keep everything from sticking. Lucky for me, I have a little bit of margarine. So we'll stick a little bit of that in there. That a good wipe down. There's not going to be as much ground turkey as I thought there was going to be, but that's okay. It's all right, vegetables are good for you. That should be enough. Oh, that's smelling good. So now we're only one last step. Pizza mozzarella and cheddar. So now we'll give that a minute to melt. And we should be just about ready to eat. Whew. I dropped that little piece of cheese on the stove. Boy, did that smoke this place up. It burnt pretty quick. I knocked it off, but I opened up the top of the door on that side. That should let some of that smoke out of here. Looking at how full that pan is, I don't think I'll be needing both of these rolls. Oh, look at that. Let's see if we can't get a little bit of everything here. Mmm. Mmm. Oh, that's delicious. Woo. Wow, delicious and hot. But those Kaiser rolls were a great idea. Oh, wow. I could have swore I saw some dessert here in the cooler. Oh, I guess it must have been a mirage. I know, that was lame. Oh. That's one good thing about these trips. I come out here, I work so much, it keeps my blood sugars low, so I get to have a chocolate bar. Oh. Well, the rest of the night's going to be pretty much uneventful. It's still early, so sit in here, throw some wood in the fire. I brought my e-reader, so I'll probably just read for a little while. Then a little bit later I'll crawl into bed. I brought the Gear Doctor's Apollo Air sleeping pad. I rolled it up inside a sheet just to make it a little more comfortable against the skin so I'm not laying on the plastic, and I shoved it inside the sleeping bag. I'll be laying on top of it. And I brought the wool blanket and put it in there as well. So between the sleeping bag and the wool blanket and laying on top of that air pad, I should be just fine. Well, and enjoy this. Read my book. Oh, maybe drink the rest of this Coke now that it's thawed out. We'll see you guys in the morning for coffee. Have a good night. Morning, everyone. Time for that all-important first sip. Oh, that feels nice on a cool morning. Well, it was a good night. I'm glad I brought that wool blanket. It made all the difference. I crawled into the sleeping bag, and my feet were cold because, of course, I have to stand up in here to get changed for bed and whatnot. And the ground is kind of frozen, so it doesn't take long, your feet get cold. So I stuffed them in the sleeping bag, and I wrapped the wool blanket around them, and I pulled it up just to about my waist. And I laid down, I zipped up the sleeping bag. I was laying there, and my feet got warm. My legs were warm, but I could feel just a little bit of coolness at my chest. I pulled that wool blanket right up to my neck. Toasty warm all night long. Now, I don't think I'd push it any further than that. And more often than not, when I come out, it's not this cold. But I had been thinking about this trip for a month. And then when the time came, and looked at the weather network and said, minus 27 overnight. Feels like minus 31 with the wind. Are you sure you want to go? Yep, I'm going. Cold or not, don't matter. I'm glad I came though. We had a good time. It was definitely a good night to be out here. What I couldn't believe is those Christmas lights. I bought those Christmas lights 4 years ago at Dollarama. They run on 2 AA batteries. I bought the batteries at the same time as I bought the Christmas lights. I've used them a few times. I've used them a couple of times at home. And then I tested them yesterday before leaving. It was a last minute idea. Hey, let's do this. I tested them. They worked. And okay, as long as they work for 5 minutes, we're good. I can turn them on, film what I gotta film. So I set them up last night, and I turned them on, and I filmed that little bit. And then I sat by the fire for a little while, looking at the lights and looking at the fire, looking at the lights and looking at the fire, and I thought, I had those batteries for an awful long time. I don't know how long they're gonna last. I'll just leave them on and let the batteries dry out. And when the lights go out, that's it. The next time I come out, I can bring new batteries. I got up this morning, I opened up the tent door. The tree's still lit. Oh. Minus 27. Dollarama lights. Mind you, I did buy the good Energizer batteries. They're still going. I got about a half a cup of coffee here. I think there's enough in the pot for another 3/4 cup. I'm going to drink this. Then I'm going to start packing everything up rolling up the blanket, rolling up the sleeping bag, getting some of this stuff packed up, keeping the tent closed and the heat in here as much as I can so that I'm working in the warm. Once everything in here is as organized as I can get it, I'm going to go out and light the fire outside, start packing up the sled, and then take the tent down. The reason for the fire outside, as I'm taking the tent down, sometimes I have to take my gloves off to work. At least I can go warm my hands by the fire when they get cold. And then when I'm ready to go, put out that fire, hook up to the sled, and off we go. Okay, that's the last load of wood that's going in that stove. I want to thank you all for coming along. Always a pleasure having you with me. And for those of you who are new to the channel, I want to thank you too. Welcome aboard. It was another great night in the woods. I love it out here. Even when it's this cold. He says, wearing just a shirt. Okay, it's nice and warm in here. It's cold out there. But that's the end of that coffee. Now it's time for me to start packing things up and getting things ready to go. So if you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see more of it, hit the subscribe button. If you're going to do that, you may as well hit the notification bell. When you do, there'll be a drop-down menu. In that menu, select all. That should let you know whenever we put out a new video. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.